Hello everybody, it's Victor again with another thunderingly boring episode of Modding Skyrim. This is episode 2, in which I'll talk a little bit about how I use Mod Organizer. I just talked a little bit about Mod Organizer itself the last time. So how do I use it and some of the features that it provides? The profiles, for instance, I always create base profiles that are generally not meant to be played as a game, but give me a place to start, because I can, in the managing profiles, I can copy that. So I'll copy my current base profile to a different name when I want to create a character, and then I'll start building from there. But that base profile has all the mods that I want to have in just about every game I play in Skyrim. So that's one way I use it. I also try to order my mods in a logical way in this left pane. I always sort by priority. It just makes sense. The only time I go sort any other way is by mod name. When I want to find a mod quickly, I'll sort by name and find it that way, and then quickly go back to priority. I never sort by category or anything else because it's just confusing. So I start with sort of the basic little utilities, some of them that you don't even see in the game. They just work behind the scenes, like One Tweak and stuff like that, and a few other things like Dynavision and Imaginator. I have those in because I'm not running an ENB, and I like some things to look decent. And a few other little utilities, and then I have sound, and then textures, and then lighting, and then some building mods. This is where I would start building in city and other things. Like, for instance, in this tester version of my base build, I have a few city mods loaded in because I'm testing the way they look and feel and how much of a performance I get with some of them. And I'm going to go back and talk about that one in a second. And then from there down, from there down, I start loading in flora and fauna, and eventually I get to the race menu stuff where I put the tattoos that I use, and you'll see some of those if I get to my character later on in this video, and also more armors down here and some weapons, and then down to the infrastructure of the game, and quest mods and stuff like that are at the very bottom, highest priority. And so that's how I order my left pane. The right pane, of course, is ordered by loot, and that was part of a discussion, a little bit of a discussion on the Facebook group, I think yesterday. And so I'm going to talk just a little bit about external applications and how they run. We're going to talk about loot and rybash because bash patches came up, and then one other thing. I'm going to try to get through this pretty quick. I'm going to start my timer here because I think I've already been talking about 5 minutes. So loot, all of these applications, Mod Organizer provides a way for you to run applications from inside Mod Organizer, and there's a very good reason for that, because of the profiles. And so when you run an application from inside the Mod Organizer, that application is going to run on the currently selected profile. If I tried to run these applications outside Mod Organizer, these applications would look at the Skyrim directory and there'd be nothing there, basically. So Mod Organizer, I guess, diverts their attention to the correct profile. So when I open loot here, it's going to see the load order I have for this tester, and it's going to show me that. I'm not going to run it because I've already run it on this, and it doesn't matter because this is just a working profile. So there's loot. Then rybash. All right, what does a bashed patch do? A bashed patch resolves conflicts. The leveled lists in Skyrim contain the data that the game needs to know where to put things, how to assign values to things, stuff like that. And because of the low to high, higher priority wins paradigm, sometimes there are conflicts. And when there are conflicts, odd things can happen. You can have weird values on armor and weapons and stuff like that. And so when you create a bash patch, the bash patch attempts to resolve a lot of those conflicts. There's many good tutorials on how to do this and much better explanations than mine. But essentially, rybash is available at the Nexus. It's right here. It's mod number 1840. It's been there for a very long time. It was one of the earliest mod managers, in fact. And so open it up from inside Mod Organizer, select or right-click on it, rebuild patch. You really only need the level lists checked, but all these other things do some important things as well. And these are mods. These are actually patches that rybash is going to merge, and that's very convenient. Helps to reduce ESP load in your plugins. So just let it build its patch. It'll do its thing. It takes a minute or so, and once it's done, it's going to deposit the patch in a special spot in Mod Organizer, which I think confuses some people, and it's important to know what it does and how to use it. So once that's done, we'll go back to Mod Organizer here. All right, so where is the bashed patch? First of all, you'll see a bashed patch checked in your plugin window here on the right, but that's really not quite exactly what you want yet. The patch also resides in the overwrite directory. Now, the overwrite directory is what Mod Organizer uses to put things that it's not quite sure where they belong. And it's okay if you want to leave stuff in your overwrite directory as long as you're only working with one profile. But if you're working with multiple profiles, like a lot of people do, then you need to deposit the stuff that goes into the overwrite directory into the correct locations. And one of the ways of doing that, and this is what you do with your bashed patch, is first of all, you make sure that there isn't anything else in your overwrite that's going to get folded in here that you don't want to, and in this case there isn't. It's just my bash patch and the docs that were generated. You right click on the overwrite, create mod, and you name it something specific to this profile. So we'll just call it current base build tester, and then a hyphen, and then bashed, so I know exactly what it is. That will then appear unchecked in my left pane. The bashed patch will disappear from my plugins window, but as soon as I check it over here on the left, it'll reappear down here. Now, Loot wants Dindalod to be last, so I'm just going to manually drag that up there, and then everything will be hunky-dory. And that's how you use rybash. The last thing I want to quickly talk about, let's see, I'm up to about 5 minutes here, is merging. One of the really powerful things that Mod Organizer does is it allows you to merge stuff as you install it. Okay, so what does that mean? That means, like, for instance, when I'm installing these city mods from JK, for instance, JK's whatever. So I merged several of them. Here's JK Cities and Towns VH selections, okay? So here in this window, which gives you all the information about the individual mods on the left side, that Mod Organizer shows you everything. Here are the 5 plugins that I merged into one to save space on the left side. However, the disadvantage of that is, and you can't really see them very well because they've all been sort of folded in to the load order over here, but the disadvantage is that they still appear as individual plugins on the right side in your actual load order. You can see here's a couple of them here, and there's another one here. This is all Loot has done this and placed them where it thinks they should go. So what's the solution to that? Well, there is a really cool program called Merge Plugins, and I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about that, but it's worth learning about, because what it does is it will take, so I'm going to deactivate the JK's. You notice I've sorted by name here. I'm going to deactivate JK's cities VH selections here. It's going to screw things up because it's going to take some masters away from Dindalod, I think. Yeah, see, I've got a problem with Dindalod, but that's all right because I'm not going to be playing this one anyway. So I took them out of here, and I made a merged plugin with those 5 ESPs all merged into one ESP with merge plugins, and it's right here, and it's called JKVH selections. When I select that, that reappears over here on my right pane. However, Dindalod doesn't recognize it because it may have all the same stuff in it, and you can see merge plugins, Dawnstar, JK's, Iverstead, etc. But Dindalod recognizes it as just JKVH selections. So I'd have to rerun Dindalod to make it work. But I've saved 4 places out of my limit of 255 on this side. Now, I rarely ever hit that limit, and in fact, I don't think I ever have, but many people do. And one of the ways they go by it is by doing exactly what I just did with that. And they use this little external application called Merge Plugins. All right, so that's enough gibbity gosh about Mod Organizer and all that boring stuff. The last thing I just want to talk about quickly is a couple of things we were discussing on the Facebook group about harvesting and mods that help with that. I think Sean asked about if there was anything that made plants glow that you could harvest, and I don't think there is, but there are a couple things that make harvesting easier. And here's my Will Hawthorne character that I sort of trotted out in the first video. He's actually now started his run through Skyrim and has played a couple of hours. So when we go in there, you'll see Will, and Will has some odd habits and needs. Will not consume or wear or use anything that he hasn't either killed, made, harvested himself. So everything he has on, everything that he consumes, his weapons, everything is stuff that he made. Now, he will steal and sell, and he has no compunctions about that. But when it comes to his own personal use, it's got to be something that he's made. So that's a little limiting, and he had some rough times there when he essentially, using alternate start, he was sort of dropped into the world after being kind of attacked and robbed and left for dead. So he had nothing but some rags on and a few apples in his pocket. And so here's Will.
Make it quick.
He's now managed to make himself some armor. That's bone armor. That's from Hunterborn. He is, as you can see, a wood elf, and he made that very fetching hood that he has there, and a rather forbidding weapon, this bone axe made out of a superb large animal bone that he got from an elk that he killed. He's pretty much killed everything with his bare hands at this point, or his axe. He doesn't have a bow yet because he hasn't been able to make one. His tattoos come from some mods, and they are wards against spirits and things. Will is a very superstitious guy. So now we're going to try to remain in third person, which is sort of against my habits, but I think it looks better for this kind of video, I guess. I hope. And it'll make Andrew happy, and of course my life is all about making Andrew happy. So, hi Andrew. So we're just going to go out and I'll show you one mod that was mentioned in one of the threads on the Facebook group, and I'll talk about another 2, and then that'll be the end of this video episode. So first off is More HUD, and I forget, I was Mikhail who mentioned More HUD in response to a question. And so what More HUD does is it pops up a little window right there that shows you obviously what the thing is that you're standing in front of, but also its alchemical attributes. It has a mod configuration menu entry, so you can adjust where the pop-up is, how it activates. You can pop it up with a hotkey. It will do red books. At least what it does is it puts a little eyeball next to them instead of the glowing books. I like that better, and I stopped using glowing books because it actually adds some scripting to the game that I didn't want anymore. And it'll even show skills. I leave that off though. And then there's a few other things you can adjust in here, styles and position and stuff like that. So that's Moorhut. It's one of those wonderful little mods that just adds just a little bit of stuff to the game that makes it nicer. The other one that we mentioned, I think I mentioned it was Harvest Overhaul, and also Complete Alchemy and Crafting Overhaul, Keiko. And Harvest Overhaul is the precursor to Keiko, and what it does is it just allows you to get more stuff. I mean, for God's sake, it's kind of silly to pick one flower, isn't it? So instead of that, you pick 3 or 4 or 6. You get 2 butterfly wings instead of 1, etc., etc. In this game, I'm using Keiko, which does the same thing and so much more. Complete Alchemy and Crafting Overhaul, written by the amazing mod author Cryptopeer, who also did this Complete Crafting Overhaul Remade, and also a couple of other things that I use on a regular basis, including Trade and Barter, which is down here, one of my favorite mods of all. So here's Complete Alchemy. I'm not going to go into all the settings. I don't even know all of them, but she's completely redone the alchemy system, changed the recipes around, changed a lot of values, etc., changed perks, and it's fully compatible with Ordinator. If you use Ordinator, you'll need a patch to use it with some other perk overhauls. And although I believe I have a patch, but it was just for some minor issues. She's added a whole lot to cooking, made a lot of recipes far more useful, for one thing. Added a lot of ingredients to the world and stuff. And here's the section that's relative to Harvest Overhaul. It does the same thing, but even more. So you can change percentage of ingredient chance and stuff, and how many things you get. You can adjust the amounts you get, and also how much gold you get for various items. These I readjusted these completely. I thought they were completely outrageous. How many potatoes you need to harvest to get one septum. I mean, a septum isn't worth a whole lot in Skyrim, and to have 10 potatoes for 1 septum would seem utterly ridiculous to me. But anyway, that's just me. So there's Complete Alchemy and Cooking Overhaul, and Harvest Overhaul, and Moorhut. So there you go. I hope nobody's poked their eyes out with a stick yet, or fallen asleep. Wake up! Just a quick note, what you're looking at here is JK's Dragon Bridge, one of the mods in that group that I mentioned before we came into Skyrim today. It's a really nicely done redo of Dragon Bridge. Some of his others are very performance heavy, and I don't use them. But his Dragon Bridge, his Winterhold is awesome, and what else? I forget the other 3 or 4 that I use. Anyway, we'll talk about those another time. So that's it for me, for Will, and for episode 2. So happy Skyrimming, everybody.